Okay, so we're here on Thursday, August 4th for agent development, and today we're going to cover successful lead generation and buyer consultations. The first section that we'll cover regarding lead generation is 7 things that must decrease for your business to increase. And I guess what I wanted to point out is that although I know I put together this information and I pretty much read it, I guess what I want to say is that I'm reading this and sharing this information because I truly believe it. Like I wouldn't just be reading information if I didn't really believe it or think that it would be helpful for everyone. And so I guess I just wanted to make sure that that's clear, that hopefully you guys understand with everything I do, I can't just come up with this stuff myself, right? So that's why I pay in the news. They give me these articles and information, and over time I pick out what I think is going to be most helpful to the agents in the office or what's most relevant at this time or whatever, right? So although I'm reading the information, it's because I couldn't come up with it myself, but I do truly believe it. So I just wanted to make sure that that's clear. And at any time you or anyone that's watching this later has a question about anything, definitely let me know, because I would be happy to go into more detail about it too, because I realize we kind of go through this pretty fast when I'm just reading through it. So we'll start off with 7 things that must decrease for your business to increase. Sometimes for things to move up, certain things must come down. Where are the inefficiencies in your business? Where are your blind spots? During a time of market transition, evaluating your business and modifying your processes are critical for success. This was an article written by Jimmy Burgess back in June. I had originally planned to share it earlier, but then I felt like more time-sensitive stuff came up with the market shifting and everything like that. So these are the 7 areas that must decrease for your business to increase. The first one is your ego. Now, obviously, this is probably less applicable to the new or newer agents, but I think worth mentioning because for some of us that have been in the business in a while, this is applicable. You know, when things are going well, it's easy to believe that you have the real estate thing figured out. Good markets often give our egos a false sense that we're better than we are. Success has a way of fooling us into believing that we don't need to continue to grow and adapt because things have been going our way. Ego says, we're so good that shifts in the market won't affect us. The problem is that if you're not growing, you're dying. Coming off the historic increase in real estate sales and price movement, the real estate market made a lot of us look smarter than we are. When transactions slow, as they seem to be doing nearly everywhere now, a challenging market can make agents look worse than they are as well. Warren Buffett says it this way, only when the tide goes out do you find out who's been swimming naked. And I think, didn't this quote come up last month too? Yeah, so Warren Buffett gets quoted a lot. The tide is changing, but there's still time to get suited up, humble yourself, and double down on honing your skills to become the most professional agent you can possibly be. The old saying, pride comes before fall, is true, but I also believe humbleness comes before a rise. Fight the natural tendency to allow your ego to give you a false sense of security. Humble yourself and become a student of this business like never before. By doing so, the level of service you provide your clients will increase and your business will continue to grow. Second, the amount of time you waste. How much of your day do you really spend on income-producing activities? How much time do you waste daily on busyness or unimportant distractions? We all have pockets of time where we can improve our productivity. The amount of time wasted is a common blind spot for agents, and many aren't sure how to get out of the rut of inefficiency. When we inspect, we can expect to improve. So if you're looking for a way to maximize your time instead of wasting it, here's a practical way to improve. Keep an hourly journal of the activities you do for your business. At the top of each hour, answer these 4 questions. How many real estate related conversations did I have this past hour? What did I do to improve my business this hour? How many real estate related conversations will I have in the coming hour? What will I do to improve my real estate business in the coming hour? This simple act of self-evaluation and accountability will improve your efficiency. Most people are shocked at how much time they waste once they document what they do on an hourly basis.
No, I think this is so important. That's something that I've been struggling with myself, or just I actually just got a journal that I can do exactly this and just measure everything I'm doing rather than like think about something, get distracted, and be like, well, did that even, it wasn't even worth my time because it was just senseless. So no,
Yeah.
this makes so much sense.
And I've done it too, and it really does help. And I guess what I just want to offer you or anyone else too is if you ever want to take time, we could schedule a time to maybe go through a week of your scheduling and take a look at the time you're spending on what. And I'd be happy to provide feedback on maybe where you can improve. Because remember, I think we talked about this a lot, I'm always willing to help you try to prioritize your time, right? And on the productive or income producing activities. And so I'm always happy to schedule a time to go over that with anyone that wants to do that. It can be helpful because I know, especially when you're newer, you don't really know for sure how you should be prioritizing the time. Okay, third, your fear of the phone. Real estate is a contact sport. If your business is going to grow, you must communicate with and add and add value to new people on a consistent basis. It has been said that everything we want is on the other side of our fears. The biggest fear most agents have is the phone. Put simply, the business you dream of is on the other side of your fear of making phone calls. The number one reason most new agents fail and average agents don't reach higher levels of success is simply a fear of picking up the phone and having a real estate related conversation with homeowners and buyer prospects. Improving your business boils down to one solution. Do you want more income? Make more calls. Do you want more listings? Make more calls to homeowners. Would you like to take your family on a vacation they will never forget this year? Make more calls. For your business to grow, you must overcome and eliminate your fear of the phone.
I definitely need to do this. I need to start, whether it be cold calling or just, it's
Well,
so.
or even just your database. I know I hear from agents all the time, well, oh, I don't want to bother them. Or if they have prospects, they don't want to hear that they've decided to work with another agent. Well, either way, wouldn't you rather catch up with the person in your database and try to stay top of mind with them? Like, they probably aren't going to mind hearing from you, or you can always ask, is this a good time? If it isn't, let's schedule a time for me to call back, right? Or if it's a prospect, well, rather than being afraid they're working with someone else, don't you at least want to know? Because otherwise, if you don't know, you don't know. You might as well find out, are they or not? If they aren't, well, then what can you do to help them? It's always better to know. And I've always approached, and now I'm back to cold calling because I'm spending about 2 hours a day cold calling. I'm cold calling a lot of agents, and it's not my favorite activity. It's probably my least favorite activity. But I just always, before I get started, or even after I have kind of a negative conversation with someone or some agent's rude to me, I just have to remember for the next one, I don't have anything to lose. I know that I truly have something to offer these agents and I can help them. I'm just going to call and offer that, And so it's not fun, but I think it's just about putting it in the right mindset too. You don't have anything to lose by calling people. You only have opportunities to gain.
And that's how I look at door knocking.
Exactly, because I've done the same thing with that too. So number 4, your time in the office or your home office. So I know that sounds kind of weird, so he's going to explain this very well. You must be where the people are. In most cases, people are not walking into offices for real estate information as often as they used to do. Get out of the office and go where the people are. Hold an open house, attend a local charity event, become active in a local service organization. Yes, there is a time and purpose for being in the office, but scheduling active time where your clients will be is critical for your success. Here are a few questions to ask yourself. Who is my ideal client? Where does my ideal client spend time? How can I position myself to be where my ideal clients spend time? By decreasing your time in the office, increasing your time where your ideal clients are, you'll position yourself for more business opportunities. And really, I think a lot of things have changed since COVID. We obviously don't spend a lot of time here at the office. So I think this was directed more to kind of the old timers. Pre-COVID, there were a lot of people that would just almost use the office as, instead of having a home office, right? They would go to the office and work. But the thing is a lot of time would get wasted at the office too. And so that's kind of part of why this is here too, is it doesn't do you really good to be wasting time at the office. But like I'm always saying, you've got to get out where the people are, right? Out trying to meet prospects.
No, that makes complete sense, because it's, even if it's a home office, you get distracted, other
Mhm.
things, and, no, getting in front of people.
Yeah, and a
Same
big
thing.
part of it is just time blocking or scheduling the time to do the open houses and get in front of people. Yep, to make it happen. Otherwise, it's easier to stay at your home office.
Mhm.
Number 5, your less effective marketing. Do you know how much business you generate from the different strategies you utilize to market your business? I hope you do, Jessica, because we've been talking about this.
Mhm.
I hope everyone in my office has an idea, because I always talk about tracking, right?
Mhm.
You need to know how much time and how much money you're spending on things, and how many leads they're getting you, and how many appointments and how many closings. So then in 6 months or a year, you can review it, and I'll be happy to help you review it if you want. So we can take a look at, okay, where should you start focusing your time and money now, you know? But if you aren't tracking, then you aren't gonna know. So like for sure, when you're spending money on your farming marketing and all of that, be tracking that. Make sure that as you get inquiry calls and appointments, you're tracking them to your farm or whatever you're calling it, but you've got to have a way to track it.
Should you even, like, when you put flyers out, things like that, track that too?
Yeah, in the cases where you guys are putting flyers out at my listings, yeah, because you are spending time and money printing those flyers.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's marketing,
Yeah.
marketing time and money. Those would be good. And that's where I'm glad at least you finally got a call, because I told you you should. I'm like, they always generate calls. So I knew it was a matter of time. Make a list of all of your closings over the past 2 years. Out to the side of each of these client names, right where they originally came from. A few common areas are referral, open house, online leads, farming, or social media. Then total up the number of closings that came from each of the strategies and identify the percentage of your business that came from each strategy. So he's going into the details of how you can even do it. The process can be revealing. For example, if 60% of your business is coming from referrals, why are you spending 90% of your marketing dollars buying online leads that only generated 10% of your business? And sorry, I just have to laugh because what he's bringing up is very true. And I think you've begun to see that, right? You've begun to see how expensive online leads are.
Ridiculous.
And so I find this very funny because a lot of agents don't track. They'll just continue paying and being, oh, well, I'm getting leads and I'm getting closings. But if you really compare it to your other marketing strategies, really how effective is it, right? If 50% of your business came from spending time in open houses, why are you spending more time on social media promotion instead of hosting more open houses? Each person's business is different. By understanding where your business is coming from and focusing your efforts and investments in those areas, more business will come your way. And that's the key. And that line right there is one of the reasons I love this article, because it's very true. And hopefully you all understand that too, right? I give you my ideas and things, but I'm always telling everybody, and I will say it again, I know what works well for me may not necessarily work well for you. We're different people, right? So that's why you need to track and everything. And then I'm willing to help you review what's working best for you, because it's probably going to be different than what works best for me, you know? So yeah, I just really like this point. I think it's very smart. Your time spent, number 6 is your time spent with buyers versus sellers. And so this is something that we haven't necessarily talked much about before. If you spend most of your time with real estate buyers, you're a real estate salesperson. But if you spend most of your time focusing on listings and helping potential sellers, then you have a real estate business. Listings give your business leverage. If you have 10 buyers, you can only show property to one of them at a time. But if you have 10 listings, they can all be shown at the same time. What we focus on expands. Are you focusing on how to generate more listings, how to market homes more effectively, or how to improve your listing presentation? If the answer is yes, then more listings will follow. For your business to grow, you must decrease your time spent with buyers and increase your time and energy on listings. I know that my mentor and manager, which I definitely attribute a lot of my success and management style to, always said, you know, listing agents control the market. And it sounds kind of weird, but in a way they do control the market. They have the inventory, right? And so as a buyer's agent, you're just stuck out there showing the available inventory that they have. So you yourself as an agent will have more control with more listings.
Well, and they have like this amazing marketing with a sign out there.
Right, which just gets calls and leads. Okay, number 7, your passivity. So this is the last one. The time for boldness is now. The time to talk about what you're going to do in your business has passed. It is now time to take massive action. During market shifts, most agents become passive, but the agents that increase the value they add to their past, current, and future clients are the ones who grow exponentially. The answer is to decrease your passivity and increase your actions. Make more calls, host more open houses, add more value to the marketplace, and the marketplace will add more value to you. For your business to increase, start by identifying the areas you need to decrease. Obviously, for all of us, that's going to be a little different. So I hope everyone takes some time here to maybe review their areas, right? The process of decreasing makes room for the new growth that is to come. Take action today, and the business of your dreams will follow.
Good sage advice.
Yeah, I just really like all 7 of these points. I know they are all true. Very true. Okay, so we'll move on to the second topic, nailing the forgotten art of the buyer consult. The red hot market we experienced from 2020 through the first half of this year is decelerating. Because of these incredible market conditions, many real estate agents have forgotten the fundamentals of this business, specifically the buyer consultation. This initial meeting with the consumer will establish credibility with clients and help agents gain more business. So this is an article by Tom Toole just last week, July 27th, that I thought would be really helpful to cover as we start to prepare for the updated MLS forms in October. Over the past 2 years, buyers have moved quickly. As a result, seeing offers at $100,000 or more over the asking price with all contingency waived was common. With such a strong consumer intent to buy, amazing demand, and low inventory, agents have lost fundamental skills that they will need as the market begins to normalize. The buyer's consult is one of these skills, including how and when to offer it. Mastering the buyer's consult establishes credibility with clients and helps agents find the most motivated buyers with the highest intent to transact, meaning to buy or sell. That's why knowing how to deliver the buyer's consult and what topics to include is essential as the market changes. And so the first type of consult is the driveway consult. The driveway consult is a simple yet effective way to connect with buyers. At showings, ask clients to stick around for a few minutes afterward. Then walk the client through how the buying process works and what they can expect along the way. It's much easier getting potential clients to meet you at the home they want to see and spending extra time there than driving to your office or a coffee shop. And I'm so glad they have this in here because I know, like in the RE/MAX momentum materials, they always talk about, I think, not doing that, right? But always doing a consult in a public place or at your office, which I agree with, that is best. But I know that the driveway consult is the easiest way to do it. And I don't feel bad doing it because I feel like I'm providing them what they want. So then they're always willing to chat afterwards. So then you can either get into it there, or hey, if they're in a rush, then you can schedule your next one, which is the next one that we'll talk about. But this is what I think comes naturally and is very easy, and I feel like works well for buyers because then we've provided them a service already. They've already kind of gotten to know us as we've toured the home, talked about it, and all that sort of stuff, you know. And so this is what you could be doing tonight if you hear back from that remax.com lead, right?
No, absolutely.
So then the 2-step consult, which is the second type, takes the driveway consult one step further. After asking clients to stick around after the showing, talk to them about the process and other factors like the market conditions and sales activity, then schedule a follow-up meeting on the spot. Whether in person, on Zoom, or over coffee, the second meeting should describe the buying process in more detail. This is your opportunity to onboard them as a client. Ask questions like, has anyone taken the time to explain the purchase process in detail? Will help you win business and get a yes to the follow-up onboarding appointment. Or I feel like they've kind of separated the onboarding appointment, but to me, it could be done at the same time. And then the other thing to remember is, especially with our changes coming up in October, whenever it is you're able to have that serious conversation, that whether it's out in the driveway because the timing's good, or you need to schedule the 2-step one and have that second meeting, don't forget, you're going to want to talk about agency, and the buyer's agency agreement and your minimum compensation and all that sort of stuff. So they don't talk about that in here because of course, when they're writing these articles, these are for the whole US, right? But I'm just adding that bit that you would also want to talk about agency and your minimum compensation too. Then the third is the immediate consult. The immediate consult is a proactive approach that asks clients to commit to a consultation before looking at any properties. This strategy is especially beneficial for first-time home buyers because they don't know much about real estate, despite how educated they are. When scheduling the consult, use phrases like, before you look at anything, let's make sure you know what's involved with buying a home so you can make an informed business decision that's best for you. After scheduling the buyer's consult, establish credibility with the buyer by discussing 4 main points. Number 1, the purchase process. Even if a client has previously purchased a home, describe how the purchase process works. Develop a timeline or bulleted list that includes every step from the initial meeting to the closing and everything in between. Review every element so nothing is missed throughout the process. When unexpected steps happen, an agent is no longer the knowledge expert and has lost credibility with the buyer. And so I think that that's really key. And obviously you would want to cover that before you go into your compensation and you're trying to ask them for their loyalty, right? Mm-hmm. And I know for you, you have, I forget what you call it, but you have that buyer packet. Is that what it is? Just a buyer packet, but it's a whole bunch of like PDFs, right?
Yeah.
And so that would be good to review in person, during this meeting.
No, absolutely. Just because, I mean, for myself too, it reiterates, because I haven't gone through the process itself yet, so it's not automatic. I mean, I can look at this list but it's just nice to be able to walk it through.
Well, yeah, and then you may end up finding, I guess, and I hadn't thought of this, but maybe like at your open house on Saturday when we have a break, I should really take a look at your stuff because I'm just now realizing I was looking more for general formatting and but I wasn't necessarily looking at content because I know what I realized when I first started was I put together buyer seller packets. I had info from Thailand escrow companies, but then I also created my own. And then I realized as I went through a couple sales and I had some clients, I realized, wait a minute, I need to adjust what I have so it really more accurately reflects the process or at least how I want to handle it. Because like I'll never forget early on, I started selling in really low price ranges, right? Like I always talk about the Liberty Lake condos and how they used to be $40,000, right? Now the cheapest is $175,000. But I mean, I also sold just a bunch of just low end stuff. And I think it was sort of because of that, I was realizing I had to talk about earnest money, like upfront during the consult, because otherwise people were just kind of lost and they didn't understand that they needed to have back then. It was like 1 to 2%, now it's like 2 to 3. And so even now it's on my list and I talk about it, but I just bring that up because like, as you go through the process, you might realize that you need to emphasize certain things more or add something or pull something off your list or whatever,
Right, and especially with all these inquiries from like WhatsApp and so forth, trying to communicate with these people, right up front to either, figure out if they're playing a game or not, or I'm just like earnest money, wiring your money if you're at, paying cash, let's just get this on the table right now. Yeah. And let's see how serious you really are.
Yeah, whatever happened to that last one?
Probably sent like 4 or 5.
Oh, and nothing? Okay. Okay, well now we know they're coming through from realtor.com because I'm trying to think, where were we getting them before? Was it Remax? Where were you getting
Homes.com once.
And now we know they're coming through realtor.com. Where else have we been getting them? Or were yours just direct through Instagram and stuff?
No, one was homes.com, one was realtor.com, and there was another, I can't remember where it came from, but it was like the same person, same exact message almost.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
At least we don't seem to be getting any of that crap through Remax.com.
No.
Yet. I sure hope we don't.
Yeah.
God. It's ridiculous, waste of time. Okay, so we were going through the details of the consultation. So number 2 is to talk about cost of acquisition. Prepare a sample closing cost estimate for the client. It's a simple and effective way to review the financial details of the transaction. Oh, and this was something again that might be different. So I'll finish reading this, but this isn't something that we would personally do. The 2 most critical numbers for buyers are cash needed to close and how much the monthly payments will be. If working with cash buyers, only discuss closing costs. This is the buyer's financial plan to get into the home. It eliminates surprises and will speed up the offer process when the client finds a home to pursue. So this is a good point in that cost of acquisition needs to be covered with a buyer. But the thing is if they're getting financing, then they need to be getting that from their lender. We wouldn't be providing this information, especially like I know there's that financial tool on the MLS, and that's great for if you have cash buyers. That's definitely a thing to use if you've got cash buyers. Just make sure you use the radio button and you check cash. And then you've got to go in and I think you've got to take off an appraisal fee that for some reason is included on there, but they wouldn't be having an appraisal. And there might be another fee on there too. So you'll want to check the details because it's definitely set up for financing. But like I only use the MLS financial tool for cash buyers. If they're getting a loan, you always want to have them talk to their loan officer because everybody's closing costs are unique to them. It's all dependent on their assets, income, debt, their whole financial picture. Are they buying the rate down? That's kind of a common thing right now. So then they might have higher than usual closing costs. We have no idea. And so for sure, they should be getting that from their loan officer. But it would be good for you to ask and check, right? If they say they're pre-approved, then they should have received this from their loan officer so you can check and make sure that they have. Or if they're just about to get pre-approved, right, or whatever, then you can let them know that the loan officer will cover this with them.
So if they are pre-approved, they'll already have a closing cost.
Yes,
Okay,
they
great.
should have.
Okay.
If they're really pre-approved, yes. If
Okay.
they're only pre-qualified, meaning if they only gave verbal information and things haven't really been verified, then no, they won't have a closing cost estimate. So that's kind of, although that isn't necessarily completely black and white, that is the way it usually is. So that can be, so if you ask and they got their closing cost estimate, that's usually a good sign they really are pre-approved. It's still just good if they aren't working with your preferred lender, right, that you can trust, then it's usually good to ask for a copy of their at least initial letter. And always let them know, yeah, it would just be good for me to double check it. And then that way, if I have any questions, I can contact the loan officer. But really what you're doing is you're going to be checking the letter, and I can help you check your first few letters if you want to make sure, did they really apply for a loan? Because you're looking for that they completed an application, that their income, assets, and debt and credit have all been, they've been reviewed and are approved. You know, you want to be looking for that kind of language. And sometimes letters will go out. I mean, because I think I even received one recently on a listing where it looked like a qualification letter. It didn't even look like an application had been completed or anything. And so then I contacted the broker, and he's like, oh no, he is pre-approved. I know he's done that. So then we must have got the wrong letter or whatever. And then he sent over the right one. So sometimes mistakes are made, you know, but that's why, especially if they're not working with the lender that you know and trust, it's best to get a letter. Because again, you don't want to spend your time out there showing property to someone that really isn't pre-approved. And I've done that. I've done that in the past when I was a new agent. So that's why I'm so strong about this, because I don't want other people to waste time like I did. And that's also why I'm so strong about working with good lenders, because I also worked with buyers that were really pre-approved. And then we'd get a week or two away from closing and they weren't really well, they were pre-approved, but there were issues with their financing. The loan officer wasn't really doing their job. And so then I had wasted me and my buyer's time too, you know? So that's why I'm always stressing, make sure you're working with people that you know and trust. I mean, almost all of my buyers work with my preferred lenders, but I mean, I can't get them all to convert, and I don't expect us to all be able to do that, right? Like some people have real relationships with their credit union or their bank or whatever, or somebody, and that's fine. But it's just, really check those letters, try to have conversations with the loan officers and stuff, because you don't want to waste your time. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of unskilled, unknowledgeable loan officers out there too, that are kind of doing half-assed jobs and providing pre-approval letters when their clients really aren't pre-approved.
I spoke with one guy up in Everett that, I mean, they basically underwrite before they even get the,
Yes, and that is what's really best.
and I'm like, that's amazing, you know?
Mhm.
So I'm definitely putting him on there.
Yes.
You know, because if that's the case, he's like, I think that only 1% of his loans didn't go through.
Yeah, because there's always a percentage of buyers that will
Do something.
make a purchase,
Yeah.
do something and throw
Mhm.
things off.
Mhm.
And so that's again where that can happen to anybody, but a good loan officer and an agent will remind the buyers not to be doing that. Or if they hear of anything out looking at cars, reminding them, you know, all that sort of stuff, because sometimes they just forget.
Yeah. Get caught up in.
Yep. Okay, number 3, ask, what are you looking for in an agent? One of the most important questions to ask during a buyer's consultation is, what are you looking for in an agent? The answer to this question helps agents know what clients value so they can deliver well above their expectations. For example, if a client appreciates communication, walk them through your communication plan and be prepared to follow through on it. If they value market knowledge, explain how you educate your clients on sales activity and market trends. Be ready to send a plethora of resources. These actions demonstrate that you're listening to them and meeting their needs. This type of approach will also make your clients feel supported and start the trust building process. And then 4th and last for the buyer consult is points of difference. Lastly, clearly articulate your points of difference. How will you help the buyer get what they really want by the end of the process? What do you do differently than other agents to deliver your clients a better result? Articulating your value proposition is more important than ever in the shifting market climate. At this point, you've got it all covered when it comes to the buyer's consult, what the process looks like, what it's going to cost, what clients are looking for, and how you stand out from other agents. If you use the 3 different ways to close a buyer's consult and review these 4 topics, you will close more business and, more importantly, find motivated clients who value your time and want to work with you. And in this climate, all 3 are critical. So any final comments or questions?
I so much is, like the over, giving the information, just like kind of what I did yesterday with the class, and just, I'm like, here are all the resources, here are all the publications, you know, if you need anything additional, I have this available to offer you, please reach out to me, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like we can't really provide too many resources.
Mhm.
That's where, again, I think having a good buyer and seller packet are helpful too. Okay, I'll go ahead and stop the recording.
Yeah, you know, you've got to get out of here.